All right. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Putting the Wow into Your Program webinar. We're happy that you're all here. And as we get started, you'll have two voices tonight. I'm Dustin Riedenauer, and I'm Bob Vogt. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started. We have just a few kind of housekeeping things before we go anywhere else. We just ask, as a reminder, to make sure everyone has their phone muted by dialing *6, so we don't get any background noise or feedback in that manner. And as you all probably noticed, we did initiate the recording for the webinar, so that this can be paired with the PowerPoint later down the road and posted online for those who couldn't make it. And finally, if you guys have any questions tonight, we ask that you type them into the chat box on your dashboard, which is a separate screen from the PowerPoint. And as we go through, we'll do our best to answer them, or we'll answer them all at the end of the presentation.
Just before we get started, we want to go over a few calendar of events items coming up in Area 3. As you see there on your screen, this coming weekend we have the Back to School Bash happening up at Abraham Lincoln Council. At the end of September, we have the Fall Fun Rally, the largest venture event in the nation, going on just outside of Greater St. Louis area. Just go to that website listed and get your crew registered. We're hoping to hit over 1,500 venturers and leaders at the meeting. And then on November 9th, the Area 3 is putting on a program conference where venturing will be represented by our youth officers, as they will be presenting all day on different aspects of venturing to the 11 councils of Area 3. As was mentioned earlier, my name is Bob Vogt. I am the Central Region Area 3 Venturing Advisor. I've served as an Area Venturing Advisor for the last 8 years. Also, I have over 30 years of experience as an advisor for both Explore Posts, and when the venturing came around, I became an advisor for our venturing crew at that time. We have well over nearly about 35 youth in our venturing crew, very active outdoor one, and a lot of the information we will be presenting tonight is how did our venturing crew grow to be that size, and that is because of the wow we put into our program.
And as I stated earlier, my name is Dustin Riedenauer. I'm past Area 3 Venturing President, immediate past National Venturing President. I've been in venturing for about 5 years, so I've done a lot of activities and have a lot of experience to offer tonight. So what tonight's webinar is all about is putting the wow into your program, how to go above and beyond the basic program that a unit can offer and make it more exciting and more relevant.
The number one thing we want to keep in mind is that by putting the excitement and the wow into your program, the youth and adults in the scouting program will be much more involved and want to stay involved. The changing, evolving program increases the retention. It keeps those youth there. The number one recruitment method for venturing is youth members bringing in their friends, which requires a fun program.
So one of the things that goes along with that is peer-to-peer. National campaign focused on crew members inviting other crew members in order to gain membership and retain membership.
So for those crew members who want to invite someone, your program has to be above and beyond. We like to think of it taking it out of the box and putting it over the top. Let's look at some of the different activities that can make these things happen.
So the first activity we're going to hit on tonight is water activities. There's so many opportunities here while still staying within the guidelines of safe scouting.
Let's say you're going to be taking a float trip. Most of you or us, as we take a float trip, we go out in canoes. But one of the things that our crew does is that we will rent a couple of kayaks. And throughout the day, the youth and adults that wish to kayak will get out of their canoe and have some time, 30 minutes or so, in that kayak to actually experience it. Because for most youth to do 8 hours straight in a kayak, their arms just aren't going to make it. But by switching between the two, they have a lot of fun. Then comes, what can you do along the river that makes things different? One thing could be is as you're approaching a rapid that's a level 1, easy rapid, tell them, let's do the thing backwards. It creates a whole different atmosphere of fun for those kids to work with.
Some other options you have, if you have some more still waters, is cardboard boats. Give them a week in advance, tell them to come with their best boat they can out of cardboard and duct tape. Maybe if you're even feeling adventurous, limit how much duct tape they can use and see how long they last on the water. Or give them a route that they have to paddle across the water in order to win the race.
Sometimes we've done it where we give them, the race is going to start, let's say, at 10 in the morning. At 9 o'clock, they all are there, and we have a pile of cardboard available and a roll of duct tape. They have to create it right then and there on the site based upon the sizes and everything of what they're going to do. It creates a lot of fun. And some of them, we've actually watched them go over 30 minutes in water without sinking, and others 30 seconds, and they're sinking. This leads into having competition. Who doesn't like a little friendly competition, especially boys against girls? That always reveals interesting things within the group. But the fun competitions can be by age groups. It can be break the groups up in different things. Relay races. We did one, and you can see in the top picture there, where the competition was how many people could they put in a boat before it sank. The winning group got 18 people in their canoe before the water started to come over the gunnel.
One of the other options you have on a float trip is to wear costumes. Make it pirate themed, and you can be pirates on the river that day.
Hey, and all of a sudden the kids are laughing. Especially it's good. Sometimes we've done it with Long John Silver's little cardboard hats in the middle of the afternoon when their arms are getting tired and stuff. All of a sudden we'll pull out the hats and they start to have more fun and pick up the tempo, and they'll even start to raid each other's canoes and jump between them and other things. Always make sure safety is there. Make sure they always have their personal flotation devices on.
And with that, you can even flip their canoes or flip their rafts or whatever they have, and they can end up paddling downriver in a swamped canoe. That's a whole different meaning to learning how to paddle and maneuvering the canoe when it's full of water. Things may sound funny, but sometimes Cub Scout events, the youth, the teenagers have a fun time with. Rain gutter regattas. These are, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, example of some of the boats. We had our crew members make them. We got hold of a rain gutter, filled it with water, and they were racing them. They had a great time, and it was on a regular camporee type of field at a campsite. A new item that has come out into scouting quite a bit in the last few years is stand-up paddleboarding. Up in the upper right corner, the first picture up there on the left, that is actually Dustin on a stand-up paddleboard, and he actually stood on it for a little while before he flipped over. But it's a new experience and something different. Those can be done on rivers or on lakes. So one of the other activities that seems like it's pretty basic and you can't do a whole lot with is cooking. But when in reality, you can do so many different things with cooking and making it fun and interesting. And the pictures here just begin to describe it. One of the things that sometimes why in life do you always have to eat dessert last? Well, we've actually done it on some campouts where we'll have that Dutch oven cooking dessert done first, and we're going to eat the dessert first. The kids get a little, can we do this? Certainly we can do that. We one time, or actually a number of times, have had a formal dinner where the ladies will put flowers in their ears, the guys will put on a ugly-looking tie around their necks, they'll put little polka-dotted derbies on. You can see some examples there. And in the middle of the camporee field, we will set up tables with candelabras on them and have a full dinner. Some of the girls have even put on their prom dresses for it. We get funny looks from the other groups, but the following year, they're starting to do it. It adds a little bit something different measure to it. In the winter and other times, a nice fun event for a creative meal is to do a progressive dinner where you move from one house to the next. We've also done as regressive dinners where you start with dessert first, and at the last house, you have appetizers. So there's different ways of working with those. Now, out on campouts, you don't just have to cook traditionally, have a plate, fork, all of that. Try utensil-less meals. Put some aluminum foil, double layered in with some vegetables and meat into a fire, and before you know it, you've got a nice meal that you don't need any utensils for. And for a lot of the youth, they may have done it, the boys may have done that as a young tenderfoot or second class scout, but a lot of the youth in our venturing crews have not done something like that. Smorgasbords. We've actually had meals where we've had 30 different Dutch ovens going to create a smorgasbord
for everybody. It took quite a bit of planning. It took some arranging to get that number of Dutch ovens in the one location. But we cooked everything from the traditional desserts that you see in Dutch ovens to spaghetti dinners to numerous other things, and the youth and the adults involved had a wonderful time. Another idea on smorgasbord, if you have a campsite and another group next to you, invite them over to share the meals. So it's another way of creating a smorgasbord, sometimes on plan. Now, who doesn't enjoy pizza? Now, you can do a lot of different things with the pizza, and you can make a pizza in a Dutch oven, you can make a pizza in a box oven, and you can even make pizza with non-traditional items, such as English muffins. And, hey, if you're within range of the city, maybe you can even order pizza. You have a lot of different options you can do to bring everyone's favorite out to the campsite. We've had where we'll be hiking along a trail that crosses the road, and we've ordered pizza to be delivered right there as we cross that road. The kids loved it. It was something different. Unusual dessert. Don't just think of the traditional cobbler that can be done. There are many different types of desserts and stuff that can be cooked. You don't always have to use a Dutch oven to make the dessert. A lot of people are surprised you can make easily puddings and stuff. You can also have, if your crew has, when we go to Philmont, we cook things in the backcountry with what's called it's a backpacking oven, that we actually will have pineapple upside down cake and stuff in the backcountry of Philmont. We touched a little bit earlier on the Dutch oven potluck, and another thing we one time did is the next item coming up, which is the military MRE. We had a father who was a major, and he attained for us the military meals, and it was a different way of doing a meal when we were out on a campsite.
And we already touched on the kind of backcountry meals with the backpacking oven and making desserts. And let me tell you, the cruise around, you think it's a little crazy, but after the first couple of nights, and you have it almost every night, it becomes a nice treat, and everybody stops thinking you're so crazy with that.
Especially when you go up to the staff and you say, hey, you want to have a brownie? We just cooked it out here. And all of a sudden you get special treatment from the staff.
And then lastly for our meal is a pancake breakfast. Who doesn't like pancakes? And pancake breakfast can even be used as a nice fundraiser from time to time.
Absolutely. Hiking and backpacking trips. That's a big part of scouting, as we all know. One of the ways to involve adventurers in it is to make sure that the youth officers or the youth members in charge of that particular event are actually selecting the trail that you are going to be going on. Along the way, you can work with different trail leaders, and there's different ways of working with it. No one likes to spend the whole day at the back of the line. So you can do what's called a caterpillar, where the person at the end of the line moves to the front, and you keep falling back and keep moving, having different leaders all day long along the way.
Now, something else you can do to spice up your hike is to sing songs along the way. We were at Philmont, we were singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and Christmas songs in the middle of June. It wasn't even Christmas in July. Or movie quotes. People love movie quotes like Finding Nemo, just keep swimming. It gives you encouragement to keep hiking along and get to your destination.
One thing that we quite often do along the way is to stop, when we're taking that 15, 20 minutes, a little longer break in the hike, that we will do team building games. We quite often have done different aspects of the Kodiak or Kodiak Challenge on the side of the trails. It helps to break up the time, and in the process, they're also getting the advanced leadership training done.
Now, a lot of areas have history to them, and there's a lot of historical trails that you can hike along, too, that have points that you can stop and talk about the history of the area. And that's a good one, too, because you can complete ranger requirements as well, or outdoor bronze requirements along the way. And it's a nice hike, and you get to learn some stuff along the way as well.
So always remember that the process of what we are doing here is trying to make the program more fun, more exciting, and to put that wow in it so that we can retain the members and keep them inventorying for a longer time frame. Wildlife events. As we head into some different things, we've actually taken our crew to the zoo and to shoot the animals. Now, that sounds kind of funny, but we do it with photography, where they have to go out and they have a list, and they have to shoot different types of animals and in the like it may be an animal that looks most like one of the people in their group, or maybe the smallest animal, the largest animal in the zoo. It may be the most dangerous animal in the zoo, and that's subject to interpretation. One of our groups came back, but they shot what they thought was the most dangerous animal, and that was a security guard that had a gun on his side as the most dangerous animal in the zoo. You can also do it with a filling in blank fact sheet that are available there. I'm working with that. We, on a trip one time, stopped in to do horseback riding at Churchill Downs in Louisville, where the Kentucky Derby is held. Were we actually out in the race? No, but if you look at the top right-hand picture, down in the basement of the Churchill Downs, they had horse racing on full-size horses that the kids could have fun with, and in front of them was, as if in an actual video, running right with the horses at Churchill Downs. When you do different horseback riding, wear Western clothes. It adds a little different fun to it. Obviously, with the safe scouting, you have to put the helmet on when you're actually riding the horses. Dude ranches, horse camps. There are a number of councils that have different horse camps available, or go out west or other places where you can work with a dude ranch. We did one time a rustic dude ranch out in Colorado. Rustic in that fact it had no electricity, no running water, and was an absolutely phenomenal week. And the kids loved it so much that 2 years later they voted to go back there again.
Now, one of your other options for learning about wildlife or experiencing wildlife is go to a conservation area or a wildlife agency, and there's a lot of them around that people don't know about. For example, here in St. Louis, we have the World Bird Sanctuary. You get to learn about wild endangered birds, including the bald eagle, that are all there in captive, so you can see them up close, and sometimes you'll actually get to work with the animal handlers there and work a little bit more up close in them rather than seeing them behind cages and whatnot.
The bottom picture that you see there on the screen with the camel, that's actually a place called Grant's Farm. It used to be the president listed as Grant's Farm area. But they turned it into a wildlife conservation area, and it's right in the middle of St. Louis metro area, and there are water buffalo, zebras, and giraffes, and numerous types of animals there that you can get right up close to and work with. And our youth enjoy that almost on an annual basis. Now, a popular event that a lot of youth like is caving. It's kind of a unique experience that not a lot of people get to do. So how can you make this more interesting? Well, think about how they used to go through a cave in the old days. They didn't have flashlights. They had lanterns. Now, while we don't have lanterns that are gas-powered anymore, they still make electric lanterns. And a lot of times they don't emit as much light as a flashlight was. So that makes it a little bit more challenging as well because there's not as much light to go off of. We always make sure that as we're going through a cave, if it's one where we can lead ourselves, that is safe for the scouts to be in, we will have one of the youth learn all about the stalagmites and stalactites and how it all works, and they will be the one that will actually be teaching the geology of the cave. Now, another thing that we've done is gone wild caving. We've gone caving in areas that you have to fit your body through about the size of a dollar bill, which you can see about at the middle of your screen, the area in which we had to fit through in order to be able to go to that portion of the cave. And it was really a unique experience because sometimes you think you can't make it, but you can. And while the height of that cave is only that much, or that section of the cave is only about a dollar bill, it's long and wide and open, so you can see to the left and to the right of you. One of the things that you see there in the top picture is what's called a squeeze box. There are a number of councils that have made these things, and they are available for the youth to work their way through. And it's quite a challenge. The lowest I've ever seen a youth get down to was under 6 inches. They made it at 5 inches and 5 3/4 inches through the squeeze box. Mud caving can be very fun. A lot of the caves are very wet, and And one of the things you can do is obviously go through those, and where you have to wiggle through the mud and everything, it's going to be a lot of fun. We were one that had a place called Bubblegum Alley. The mud was so thick that if you didn't have your shoes tied on very tight, you were walking somebody without your shoes as they got stuck in the mud. Now, one more option is to go overnight plunking. So what we've done in the past is in Tennessee, we take the last commercial tour of the day to this cave, and they lock us in the cave at night. We spend the night in there, a good portion of which we go into parts of the cave that aren't used for the commercial tours. So we do wild caving in the evening after they do the last tour, and we spend the night in the cave. We're obviously in there with a guide so that everything is safe, but it is, when you think about it, that you're sleeping 300 feet underground, and it's quite an experience. There are a number of caves that will do this. Search the internet, Google them, and it can be a neat event. So the social aspect of venturing is dancing. Now, I understand some people don't like to dance because they're afraid they're going to look stupid. But, you know, when everyone's out there looking stupid together, it doesn't really matter. And there's a lot of different options you can do with dancing instead of just hiring a DJ and going on like that. You could hire professionals that know line dancing, square dancing, and even swing dancing and teach them. And as you can see here, I'm not sure what dance that is, but they're learning one of those dances at the Fall Fun Rally a couple of years ago. And it's neat because not a lot of youth know how to do any of these dances, and they actually find it quite fun. You know, some would think that square dancing is a very old style of dancing, but when we were teaching it at the Fall Fun Rally, we literally had probably close to over 100 youth trying to learn how to do some of the different square dancing, and having a great time at it. It makes a great evening activity at campus, especially when you have multi-crew events. And then one other area that can be fun is working with holiday parties, and associated with both dancing and other aspects of it. With the holiday parties, we do sometimes, and I know it's not coming up here on the screen right now, but we will do different themed holiday parties as a social event. Last year we did a Chinese New Year, where the youth actually cooked authentic Chinese food, worked with it. A number of the youth came in Oriental outfits. We had the Chinese lanterns hanging up around the place, and they turned it into a very fun event. Whenever we have an officers meeting and they're planning an event, one of the things that they have been trained themselves to do is, we've now set up this event, how do we take the next step to make it different and unique than what everyone else will have? So everybody likes a little snow, I hope. So some of the things that you can do in the winter are go skiing and snowboarding. And we do have to wear helmets, but that doesn't limit us at all. That just gives us more freedom. You can decorate helmets and see who has the craziest, or who has the most Superman-themed helmet, or stuff like that. And a lot of skiing places have skill areas, so you can have skill challenges for the youth to try as well. It could be slalom racing. It could be different things. It could be easy, moderate jumping that they're trying to do. It could be, if they're just beginners just learning, can they do an S-curve as they're going down the ski slope? Something it's winter in that we're talking about ice, but we actually did it in the summer. Ice block sledding. In the upper left corner, you see the young lady holding an ice block. They actually sit on the block, then they put a piece of carpet down so it doesn't freeze their posteriors, and then they're heading down hills. We did this at a large event for the 2010 celebration for Scouting, the 100th anniversary, and we had someplace over 8,000 scouts and venturers going through this event. Ice block sledding in a park in the summer. We left some nice permanent ruts in Forest Park there. And then, obviously, you have your traditional snow sledding. Everybody enjoys that, especially on those winters that you don't have so much snow. So when it does come around, it makes it all that much better. Freeze-out camping. A lot of scouts think, oh, when those temperatures get cold, such adventures, we can't go out camping. We have had some phenomenal camping where temperatures in the 20s, 10 degrees outside, and at those freeze-out campings, we'll play wiffle ball. We'll do other springtime, summertime activities outside in the snow, keeping the kids having fun. Another event that a lot of venturers are participating in is the Boy Scout Klondikes, where they serve as staff for those events. It gets them outside. It gives them having a lot of fun working with the Klondikes and making things happen for the younger scouts.
And then you have ice skating. Here in St. Louis, we have both indoor and outdoor rinks all across the area, and each offers an alternative to the other. Outside is always wonderful when it decides to snow. All of a sudden, you're out there ice skating. But some of the other options you have in areas are you can go and someone will teach you how to figure skate, or they might have a speed skating track set up that you can try that. So it's not all just about regular ice skating.
Tied into a lot of things in scouting, it's just having fun, competitive, summer-type games that you're playing. One of the ones that we like is working with is mountain biking. How many of you have ever mountain biked a 14,000-foot peak? We've done it twice in our crew. And it's a fun event. It's on Pikes Peak where we mountain biked it. And we don't mountain bike up it. We mountain bike the 33 miles down. It took us over 3 hours to do it. We started at the top with temperatures below freezing, and by the bottom we were at 80-degree weather. But the kids had a wonderful time working with the mountain biking.
Now you have your traditional volleyball. Something with this is you can hold a tournament if you have enough people or enough crews. Every year we have a volleyball tournament at the Fall Fun Rally. But another thing to make it interesting is give a couple people on your team a handicap, so say. Tell them you can't use your right arm, or you have to kneel. And it gives it a different feel to the game. We've played volleyball games where we make creative rules that for the person to serve, the ball must be hiked to them like it would be in football before they can serve it. So you just create different things. Another option is kickball. Who doesn't like kickball? It's like a fifth grade recess game, but everybody still loves it. And it can be played anywhere, in a parking lot, in a field, and it's just an all-around good time. And we've had it where we've ended up with too many people at an event to play a traditional game of kickball, and so what we can do is modify the rules. That the pitcher, let's say it has to be a girl, who has to pitch it to a boy. The boy has to kick it, but a girl has to field it and throw it over to first base where a boy has to receive it. So they have to be constantly thinking who has to be touching it next as you alternate the different sexes to create a more fun game. And all of a sudden you can have 40 people playing in the same game. And you can do the same thing with wiffle ball. But the thing that makes wiffle ball different is you can have these guys that play college baseball come out there, swing the wiffle ball bat, and miss the ball every time and strike out. Because the weight of the bat and the weight of the ball and the air makes so much difference than playing baseball. And the one thing that we almost always on our event, in one of our cars, we will have a wiffle ball and bat. That if things are getting a little slow or whatever, it's a quick thing that's been thrown out, and we start to play games, and it gets the youth all involved again. Then tug of war. You can have a two-way or a four-way tug of war rope, and it gives a different dynamic. If you have a lot of people, you see what that does and kind of how it overcrowds the team versus if you have only a few people, how someone tends to dominate. And break them up by ages or male against female, and it all gives a different dynamic every time around. And we've had it where sometimes the tug of war is over a stream, so that the one team doesn't want to get pulled in that cold water in the stream. We've had it other times when it's been a pile of Jell-O in the middle or spaghetti, and we do different things as to what the person, or it could be mud, but they have a penalty, obviously, if they get pulled into it. And then one of my personal favorites, we have broom hockey. You can play it in a large room, outdoors somewhere, in a parking lot. But you do have to be careful with the brooms because you can easily hit someone with the end of it. So we have everyone keep their hand over the top of it. But you can use a ball, an actual puck. You can use a lid from lemonade. You can use anything and everything to play as long as you have a broom for each person that wants to play. And it's really a fun game. And you can pick up sometimes the brooms at the dollar stores for $1, $2 type of routine. So the brooms can be very inexpensive to obtain. Geocaching. We've done that in the wild and the woods. We've also done geocaching at night in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and having to find different locations and things to make things work. But you can create this stuff where there's prizes and stuff at defined coordinates. We've done geocaching where they have to find keys. And when they come back with the different keys, they open up a chest, and inside of that chest might be a 12-pack, depending on the field, 12-pack of root beer or something for them to have. So there's a prizes and stuff before finding the different items. So we have climbing. Climbing can be natural rock, real rock, indoor climbing. So with real rock, a lot of things you tend to have are climbing and rappelling both together. And then you have night climbs where you have a flashlight on you and you have to navigate the rock at night, which gives it a whole different feel than during the middle of a clear day. And then most councils have climbing towers available. They're great events. We quite often make them competitive as to who can get up a particular side or a particular route the fastest. We've also done climbing in the middle of a convention center as we rig up ropes and they have to climb themselves up doing the press type of climbing and working with that. This past January, we had a lock-in, had about 140 youth at it, at a climbing gym. One of the new events they introduced there, and the big picture there on the screen shows what's called crate stacking, where you literally take milk crates and you stack them one on top of the other, as you have to balance yourself as you move up in height toward the top of the ceiling. The young lady there that was working with that, she actually won the event, and she stacked 19 milk crates on top of one another before the pile finally tipped on her. Obviously, we have a belay rope on her for safety, but the kids were lined up for hours to do this event. And this is actually an event that Fall Fun Rally is going to be offering this year. So if that sounds interesting to you, try and come out to the Fall Fun Rally this year. Next, we have service projects. Service projects sound kind of boring, but they can actually be really exciting and really fun. Scouting for Food's our first one, the largest one-day food drive. Now, sitting there boxing all this food or bringing the food in may sound a little boring, but when you have a contest for someone to find the weirdest food product, then it makes it interesting. We've had pickled cacti, and a variety of other things, but it's just interesting because then all of a sudden everyone's trying to box real fast so they can find something weird, but then they're looking at everything. So it definitely gives a different dynamic and makes it a lot more fun than just, I'm sitting here boxing food all day. And when our crew packed over 50,000 cans of food on an annual basis, believe me, we have found a lot of weird things from turtle soup to the pickled cactus to pickled most anything nowadays, it seems like. Workday for a charter organization. All of our scouting groups are chartered by different organizations. Our particular one is chartered by a Methodist church. So we have, periodically we'll do yard work, repairs, cleaning, different things for our organization. The upper picture shows a group of our adventurers cleaning out a large overgrown area behind the church that they got actually turned into eventually into a prayer garden for the church. But it was about a 3,000 square foot area that had to be completely cleaned. We actually had to bring in small little bulldozers and other things to even be able to move some of the stuff out of there. Another option is a lot of communities, especially during the summer, have festivals or fairs. The city of Baldwin here in St. Louis has one, and what you can do is you can help them set up or offer to work a booth. And a lot of times they need help. They just don't know where to go and ask. And scouting groups volunteering often tend to be a great option for them. And I know a lot of fairs and stuff like that often use them with parking help as well.
Another service project area is conservation project. Your local city, county parks, if you have a state park in your area, check with the rangers at those places. They will quite often be happy to have help on doing different types of projects around those parks. And in the process, the youth also create or obtain different hours for their service projects that work toward the ranger ward and other things. And lastly, you can work with younger scouts, whether it is a Boy Scout troop or a Cub Scout pack. A lot of times they'll welcome the help, whether it's during a pack meeting or a DIN meeting and they're doing a craft project. They like the help, and it also puts venturing out there and shows that venturing is the next step in scouting and that we do exist and that we offer this great program. One of the things I'm working with the younger scouts is Eagle Scout projects, Girl Scout Gold Award projects. These are all things that Venturers can help on. Ultimately, how do we pay for all the different events and activities we go on? And that's through fundraisers. But we can also turn these fundraisers into fun wow events. So car washes, you don't really see a whole lot of them anymore. But it's always fun because people come up, you wash their cars, and you get wet. You have a hose, you have soap, people are throwing sponges, and before you know it, everybody's soaked on this hot day that you're doing a car wash. And most of the car washes that we have done have been free car washes where people donate, and those end up people usually donate more than what we'd ask them to pay straight out on it. And we touched on this earlier with the pancake breakfast, but the other option is barbecue. Between the barbecue and the pancakes, it seems to be two things that people really love for whatever reason. And generally tend to be pretty easy to do and host and clean up after. So those are both great options. One thing that ties into scouting quite a bit is first aid kits. And there are a number of companies out there that will put together first aid packets, first aid kits, and they can be sold at a very affordable thing. So this is another fundraiser that ties right into what one of the things, principles of scouting, of course, is first aid. We've also done some where it's a service for a day, where you let your charter organization know that your youth are available for free help and out and to lawn mowing, raking leaves. It could be for the elderly in the area, home repairs, cleaning, and you can do it as a free car wash where it's free, so they're welcome to give a donation, or you can also do it for a set price. So these are some different ideas that have worked well for a fundraiser for our unit. Now, council events. This is kind of a different realm, but still definitely something to think about because your unit is a part of the bigger picture and the council and does contribute to the council and its venturing program. Hopefully your council has a Venturing Officers Association, and they're the group that usually coordinates the different events. We've done capture the flag games at council events where you're doing it with a little different twist in that you're using water balloons to be able to get a person out in the game. We've worked with organizing these things for up to 250 people at a time in a game. It's a lot of water balloons. And you can organize a weekend camping trip, maybe to a local scout camp, and you can include some of the things like boating, climbing and cope, and leadership development, especially if your council VOA is there to develop their skills and working together as a team. One of the weekend camping trips we've done that ties into boating is our Sea Scouting here in Area 3 has an annual event each year up at Lake Springfield in Springfield, Illinois. It's just 2 hours from St. Louis. But we'll take a group up there each year from our crew, and it'll be a weekend of sailing, canoeing, kayaking, all sorts of racing, a lot of social activities, and there's usually about 100 people at it, and it's a great event. So see what Sea Scouting has available that you can tie into. Another option is to host a lock-in. We talked about the lock-in at the climbing gym already, but a lot of places will offer lock-ins, such as YMCAs or recreation complexes that cities may have as well.
And you have different options other than climbing then. You may have ice skating, you may have game rooms, swimming, stuff like that, all is a part of the evening of fun.
A different type of lock-in that we've done here is the dance cruise on the Mississippi River. Our council will actually rent one of the river boats for an evening, and for 3 to 4 hours, we are cruising the Mississippi River with a dance going on down inside of the boat. It's a very much of a controlled event. Obviously, no one's getting off the boat in the process, and we've had hundreds and hundreds of youth show up for these dance cruises on the Mississippi. One event that's a lot of fun that a lot of people haven't actually heard of is a road rally. You have everyone meet with their cars, and everyone in their car is a team. You meet at a starting point, and then everyone is given a set of clue instructions, and those instructions guide them through this driven route, and they have to collect picture clues or something that's on a plaque at the place they're going and write it on this piece of paper. And when they get to the end, they'll score the sheets, and a lot of times there's awards for fastest, slowest time within the reason that, within the guidelines that they're following the speed limit and things like that, along the safe scouting driving guidelines as well. The idea behind the Venturing Officers Association and hosting these events is that you are able to bring in the multi-crew or multi-council event happening. A multi-crew event is great to have because it brings in the more critical numbers. It's sometimes hard to hold a baseball game when you only have 9 people in your crew. Where's your other team? But by doing a multi-crew event, you can bring in 2 or 3 other crews, and you have enough people then to make other events happen. The Fall Fun Rally is an example of a multi-council event. It is hosted by the Greater St. Louis Area Council, but we have had up to 50 to 60 other councils show up at it as part of the, just to participate in this great event. So as we conclude this evening, we hope that you've learned a lot. And at this point, if anyone has any questions or comments, we ask that you tab over to your dashboard window and type them into the chat box, and we can address them now. So we'll give you guys a few seconds to do that if you have any questions. And while we're waiting, we'll just cover the upcoming webinars that Area 3 is hosting. On September 19th, we're doing the webinar on how venturing fits into the scouting program as a whole. In October, on the 15th, we have Council Standards of Venturing Excellence and the Venturing Leadership Awards. And then on November 19th, we're hosting Marketing and Recruiting for Venturing and Sea Scouting. There'll be other future ones coming up as the new Venturing Award and Recognition System becomes more revealed as to what it is. We will actually be holding one of the first webinars to introduce and to be able to answer the questions and stuff about that. And it looks like we don't have any questions for the evening, but as we conclude, we do ask that everyone goes over to that dashboard chat window and enters their email into that chat box so that we can send you a post-webinar survey to complete so we can get ideas to how to better the webinar in the future months. If anybody doesn't want to key in a question, if you wish to unmute your telephone and ask that question directly, we'd be glad to hear it. And *6, unmute your phone just like it muted your phone. We do have on the line Lizzie Snyder, our Area 3 Venturing President. Lizzie, do you want to add anything here at the closing?
Yes.
Go for it. Lizzie, are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. I thought this was a really good webinar, and you guys already touched on the next dates. I just have to say, I am really excited for Fall Fun Rally. I know we talked about it a lot if within the presentation, but so if you guys are excited for that, like I am, you guys should sign up. It gives the councils great ideas of how to run a VOA, and overall it's just fun.